Hello, this is Namduhi from G9, and today I would like to talk about the book called What is a Country, written by Yushimin Ryder. The book starts with an interesting story about Yongshin disaster. Yongshin disaster is a protest from people that had lost their work and home, and they protest against the country, and country dealt with violence against them, and a lot of people died from this disaster. And there are four ways of how people think about how country handled the situation. First, country has done what they should have done. Second, country has done an unacceptable action. Third, violence is how countries fundamentally deal with things. And fourth, country has failed to do what they should have done. So the book starts with an interesting story, a good hook, and these are my contents. Roughly, there are three of them. First, about nationalism, second, about rule of law, and third, about who should be the ruler. And the first is nationalism. Nationalism is defined as an ideology and movement characterized by the promotion of the interest of a particular nation, especially with an aim of gaining and maintaining the nation's sovereignty over its home. And this nationalism was first developed by James Hobbes. And who is James Hobbes? James Hobbes is an English philosopher and also a political philosopher who was born in April 5th, 1588. And he was born in Westport, Wiltshire, England. And he's the one who claimed nationalism, and he also wrote a book about Leviathan. So let's take a look about Leviathan. It's it claims about social contract theory. So people had created sovereignty by giving away their rights. And people and country had made a deal that countries should ensure safety to their people, and people in the country should follow the rule. It is similar to Leviathan, a scary creature from Bible, and so the country should have a strong power that contains strength and makes people fear. So this is Hobbes' theory, and it is a starting point of every state of theory. So this Leviathan might not be understandable by some people. And second is about absolute monarchy. So Hobbes claims that people should not protest to their ruler. Second, once the contract has been made, it is unavoidable. Third, Hobbes thought country that has unlimited power is an utopia. And finally, country or the ruler makes people safe from criminal invasion and disorder. Let's move on to the second part of the book, which is rule of law. So it is talking about the people instinctively want freedom. It is defined as the authority and influence of law in society, especially when viewed as a constraint on individual and institutional behavior. The principle whereby all members of society are considered equally subject to publicity, disclosed legal codes, and process. This rule of law was divided by Jacques, Smith, and Mill. And to talk about John Logie, he claimed the ruler should get permission from his people. So whenever the government tried to do something, they should get an agree from their people. Yeah. And second, he agreed with Hobbes' social contract, but he also disagreed with absolute monarchy. So he kind of agreed with Hobbes, but he also disagreed some of Hobbes' other parts. And finally, John Logie thought major community of the country should have a power. Next is Adam Smith. Adam Smith claimed country should lessen their direct force on people. So he's talking about that country should give freedom to the people. And second, he thought there is an invisible hand that controls everything when countries get off their hand on people. So Adam Smith is also a also an important people in economy, and he thought country and economy have really strong relationship with each other, so they should go together. And finally is Stuart Mill. John Stuart Mill thought country could never invade one's freedom. So all of these three people think the country should ensure people's freedom. And he agreed with Hobbes' social contract just like John Logie. And he divided freedom into three parts, which contains first, the inner consciousness, second, freedom of enjoying and doing whatever they want, not invading others' freedom, and third, freedom of association. So let's move on to our final part. Who should be the ruler? So this talks about things rulers should be able to do to lead the country. And three people here in the book about Platen, about Mencius, and Thrasmus talks about their own thought about what rulers should be able to do. So first is Platen. He thinks country has had a telos, a purpose. So telos is a purpose. Yeah. And the telos of the country is justice. So he's talking about the purpose of the country is maintaining the justice of the country. And second, he tried to find justice from the country first and then try to apply to the individuals. So he thought before giving attention to the individuals, the country should have a rough information and rough justice to maintain and lead the people. And third, he claimed that the ruler must be a philosopher, a people who knows that justice is who knows what justice is and what is good. So he thought people with a lot of knowledge should be the leader. Second is Mencius. Compared to Platen, Mencius thought people with virtue should be the ruler of the country. So there are four things that Mencius thought the ruler should necessarily have. And the first is compassion, second is consideration, third, good heart, and fourth, knowing what is wrong. Yeah. And finally, he thought the ruler should revitalize economy for people. Finally is Thrasmus Marchus. So he didn't really have a lot of influence on society. He thought justice is for strong people. So people with strong power get an advantage by a country. And he rationalized the injustice. I kind of disagree with this part. And this is my thought. First, I agree with John Logie and John Stuart Mill that people instinctively want freedom. And I also agree with Platen that rulers should be a philosopher who knows what is right or wrong and has a lot of knowledge about things and what is going on in the country. And finally, I think ruler definitely needs power to control its people. So the ruler who is powerless cannot lead one country and make the country be destroyed. Thank you.